Hello, Fantasy Endgame community. Thanks for joining us. It is time to break down the hitters that you absolutely must have in fantasy baseball drafts for the 2022 season. Let's start with the first one, a guy that is no stranger to the fantasy community. That is Luis Robert of the Chicago White Sox. We know he's got elite power. We know he's got elite speed. We know he's got everything you want. Now we know he can hit for average because last season hit 338, something that nobody thought was going to happen. Cut down his strikeout rate to 20%, so you have to love the gains in plate discipline. Now, it was only half a season. We haven't really seen a full year of him yet in the majors. But you know what? What if we do? Could this be the year where he all of a sudden ascends to the top 10 status? Why not? Now, the only thing that I'll say I do have concerns about is I don't know if he's going to steal enough bases to really be, the type that maybe a Ronald Acuna could get to, but maybe Tony La Russa will want to run more. They were only 25th in stolen base attempts per game last year. So my only concern is that maybe Robert does not have that, upside to steal more than 20 bases. If he can get to 15 or 20, along with probably 30 plus home runs, and now we know he can hit at least close to 300, maybe not 338 again. But this is a guy who will absolutely help you in all 5 categories, and he can be an absolute stud. So I like taking him in round 2. Wouldn't go so far as put him in the first round, of course, but he's a guy I'm definitely coveting everywhere. All right, speaking of athletic outfielders who can do it all, Byron Buxton. We know the story of Buxton, the former number 2 overall pick guy who keeps looking like he's going to put it all together and was probably on his way to an MVP season, or at least pretty close last year. And then, of course, what happens? Injuries. But why not take the chance? Because the upside is just so massive. Look, just last year in 235 at-bats, 19 home runs, 9 steals, and he hit 306. So he was really putting it all together. This is a guy who is still in his prime. Look, the Twins kind of on the rebuild, but their offense is still decent. They have enough young pieces there that I think he can put up enough counting stats. And again, the speed alone, a guy who can hit for both power and speed, that is what you're wanting in fantasy, especially in roto leagues. So I think that it's fair to say he could be a top 50 player. He's going about pick 60 right now. Just think the potential return on investment there if you take him. There's always a risk with injuries. I get that. But you know what? Even if you get half a season of Buxton like you got last year, you can fill in the other half with whoever and still come away with net benefit. So absolutely take the chance. It is worth it. Buxton is that good. All right, you're going to see a common theme here. Another kind of do-it-all player who has power and speed together, and that is Jazz Chisholm of the Miami Marlins. So Jazz not going to get a lot of love from the fantasy community because he is in Miami, and I get it. It's not an elite offense. This is a player who, as talented as he is, isn't going to get as much notice as some other players. You know what he does have? The upside to be a 30 stolen base guy. Marlins do love to run. Don Mattingly will let anybody have the green light. They were 3rd in stolen base attempts per game last year. Jazz Chisholm, of course, hitting to the top of the lineup. He will have plenty of chances to run. He also has the pop to go for 20-plus home runs. He could put it all together this year, and I think the lineup will be good enough to support him as an elite fantasy asset. And the fact that he plays second base is important because moving over from shortstop, having that dual eligibility in most leagues, but second base is just a lot more thin offensively. You can find a shortstop to carry you, but at second base, he becomes, to me, a top 5 guy. So he's somebody I'm absolutely targeting. Around pick 75 right now is his ADP. I think that could be a steal. All right, now as far as thin positions go, there is none thinner than catcher. We know this. You really want to get that elite bat at that position so you don't have to worry and play the waiver wire game all season long. But this year, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take Will Smith of the Dodgers. So Will Smith last year, I will say, I didn't want any part of because I thought he was being overdrafted. We didn't know exactly what the playing time situation was going to be. We weren't sure exactly if he was going to take a big step forward. And he did. A guy who hit 25 home runs in 414 at-bats. And what's most encouraging for a young player is he walks a ton. A guy who absolutely knows what he's doing at the plate. 11% walk rate. And playing time is definitely not an issue. I think he'll see even an uptick in plate appearances this year. Keeper Ruiz is out of town. Don't have to worry about him coming up and getting any time. He's in Washington. Smith is an elite power bat at a catcher position. I would take him and his 30 homer upside over Perez. I don't think Perez will hit, 47 or whatever, how many home runs he hit last year. I don't think he'll get that level yet. I would rather take Smith several rounds later, but still lock down that catcher position with an elite offensive player. Will Smith is definitely somebody who's worth getting. And I don't understand, why is Real Muto still being drafted ahead of Smith? I don't get that. But I'm definitely targeting Smith. Get that position locked down early. And then my final must-have hitter, you know what? I don't care if I have to clog up my utility spot with him. Nelson Cruz, I'm going to take him and be satisfied with the 30-plus home runs he's going to give me. Last year, 32 homers, and I know the average dropped a little bit, 265. That is perfectly fine for a guy with his type of power. So it doesn't really matter where he signs. Still unsigned, of course. We're not going to be sure when something is going to happen. It doesn't matter. He's proven he can go to any team. He's going to crush the ball. He destroys fastballs. That hasn't changed. I don't care what team he plays for. I don't care how old he is. He's going to be an elite power bat with a super high floor and even an average. I mean, I don't think we can see a drop in average for him. He still had 93% percentile ranking for his exit velocity, his hard hit rate, 94th percentile. He is still hitting the ball just as hard as ever. He is a freak of nature, and he is somebody who absolutely is worth the pick. So set and forget and keep that nice floor in your lineup for power. So Nelson Cruz, for me, I'll take him wherever he's available. All right, those are my favorite must-have hitters for 2022 drafts. Hopefully this helps. We'll be here all off season long to help you win for fantasy baseball. All right, thanks for watching.